Today I'm going to be talking about wealth and the nervous system. Your inner wealth, the capacity of wealth that you feel inwardly will determine what you experience outwardly. When it comes to our relationship with wealth, money, abundance, there is a really intimate link between what we're experiencing on the inside and what we experience on the outside. As we go through life, our nervous system picks up debris, energetic debris. We catch and gather emotional scars. We have trouble regulating our nervous system through our life because, being quite honest, we just haven't known how to regulate our nervous system and our emotional framework and our energy body. When we go through birth and we go through the birth canal, or maybe we don't, depending on how our birth is, from that moment, even through that process, we are shaping and molding our nervous system. And through this shaping and molding, we're either developing resilience, strength, abundance, and wealth, or we're doing the absolute opposite of that. We have decreased resilience. We have a physiological framework which is impeded by our traumas, our heavy emotional moments, what we navigate through as humans, all meeting us in this here and now. A really important factor and part of our nervous system is the vagus nerve. How our vagus nerve is shaped and developed is really important when it comes to our wealth and abundance mindset, whether we have it or not. Our environment will have a massive impact on this, what we're born into. And sometimes it will feel like some people have a rougher deal than others. We can go into this polarized area of there, we're here. And when really it's all part of the dance of being human, it's all part of the process that we are going through to relearn and redevelop our capacity for inner wealth. And because everything comes at a choice, before we embody, we come in with certain choices that we've agreed to that are ready to be shown to us along the way. And some of us come in here with work to do. We come in here signing up to elements of suffering that we've agreed to, one way or another, that is beyond recall of where we are right now. And it's through this process of reaching and hitting those moments of suffering that really impacts and intertwines and shapes and molds our nervous system. Our capacity for wealth and prosperity comes from that. When it comes to trauma, when it comes to a nervous system that's in a state of depletion and lack, it's from that space that it will be reflected into our external world, whether that's finances, whether that's love, whether that's connection, whether that's friendship, whether that's in whatever area of life, whether that's within your health. That deep feeling of lack that's experienced within your nervous system due to the development that it's gone through, it will naturally be expressed in all the main pillars of the human experience: health, wealth, love, and purpose. When our nervous system gets developed in that way, and we can bring in the physiological makeup of that, it's very much intertwined with the development of our vagus nerve, our capacity to feel safe. When we grow and when we develop and we have moments where we feel threat and we feel unsafe, If we don't fulfill the safety loop and we have something after the incident which helps us recalibrate our nervous system to a state of safety again, that's already an indent into the development of our nervous system. It's already on this momentum of expending energy, trying to recover. When we go into a sense of threat and unsafety, we are contracted, we are tense, we are tight. The energy distribution is not even to our whole body and energy makeup. And we go through a multitudinous amounts of situations and instances which all add to this resilience deductor. Our vagus nerve is a really important nerve, which is the bridge between our parasympathetic nervous system and communicates with our parasympathetic nervous system when it comes to rest and recovery. And when we go through life and we experience high amounts of, let's say, trauma, every time we go through this, our vagus nerve is impeded. And we have this, what we would call a certain tone level for our vagus nerve. When our vagus nerve is flourished and energized and communicating healthily with our body, we would say that we have a high vagal tone. When we are in a state of depletion and we haven't had time for recovery through our life up to this point, we have a low vagal tone. When we have a low vagal tone, our vagus nerve is in a state of depletion when it comes to communicating with our inner landscape. This, my friends, is the essence of lack. This is the physiological process of why we experience lack, why we feel not enough. This is intertwined with the emotion of shame. It's very intimately connected to the emotion of shame. A deep sense of lack of self-worth stems from a vagus nerve, a nervous system, which has been in a state of depletion and has been developed into such a way that it has an extremely low vagal tone. That vagal tone will then determine the other different states that we have within our nervous system. When our vagus nerve is healthy, functional, in a high vagal tone, what would be called ventral vagal. The qualities of a ventral vagal nervous system, when it's in that state, are connection, love, joy, high amounts of positive emotions, feelings of peace, at oneness, deeply connected to ourselves and the world that we live in and the people that we live in. We're able to communicate, we're able to be in the world in a very harmonious way. When our vagus nerve is, when we say our nervous system's in a state of fight or flight, due to, let's say, unconscious memory being fired off within our nervous system, so we get locked in fight or flight, that's when we're in a state of reactivity and volatility. That's when we're in that fight or flight response. When we permanently get stuck in that, this is when our vagus nerve really starts to get impeded and our vagal tone starts to come down. This is why our past is very influential on how we are now, how we are experiencing the sense of wealth and abundance is due to this, almost like this netherland of experience within our nervous system. So it's when we start to be in that fight or flight response that we start to really kind of jab our vagus nerve starts getting hit, and our resilience starts to get hit due to these autonomous processes coming up from this unconscious memory bank that's happening within us, which has been gathered from our past. This is the state, a nervous system state of fear, anger, reactivity, and volatility. Once we've been in that state for so long, and we've been jabbing out, our vagus nerve has been taking hits from this volatility that's going on within us. We then travel into a state called dorsal vagal shutdown. This is where we've had our foot on the accelerator for so long. Now we're bringing in the brakes to try and stop us to a certain degree of where we're going due to the real extreme volatility. And once we go into that level of shutdown, this is when we start to really bring in that feeling of that sense and energy background of shame and lack. And this is when it starts to permeate our life. We start to really experience that within our external world. We can go from the sympathetic fight or flight state, where we experience extreme amounts of unsafety, we feel unsafe, we start to attract unsafe situations and circumstances into our lives. We attract in volatility. One of the other key components is our incessant need to control everything. And when we're in, our nervous system's in this need to control everything to such an intense degree, this is when it's a high probability that you would start attracting in what we could call, say, the narcissistic personality type. Because we have this intense inner framework of need to control what's going on due to where the situation and landscape of our nervous system, intense levels of activation, intense levels of fear, intense levels of reactivity, we're naturally going to attract in an energy that's congruent with that. And that energy that gets attracted in is not harmonious at all. It's just in line with where we are within our nervous system. And then we go into this deep state of shutdown, where we start to go from this reactivity more into a sense of feeling emotionally numb. Whereas before, like being in the sympathetic state is actually it's not okay, but it is compared to shutdown, because we feel something. We feel that aliveness that comes with the fight or flight. We feel the adrenaline, we feel the cortisol, we feel those stress hormones. We feel that fear, we feel that anger. That's almost a weird, abstract kind of aliveness. But then when we've outspent that, we then go into that deep state of shutdown, which is more, it's a feeling of numbness. It's a feeling of hopelessness that we then go into. And we are all through this process, going back to the vagus nerve, we have massively impeded the development and recovery of our vagus nerve, which then has massive implications onto the feelings of wealth and abundance and prosperity, and essentially, as well as that, trust. We struggle to trust. There's a real deep connection between trust. When we've really are in that nervous system state and we're feeling that cut-offness, we are far away from our faith and our trust in everything that's going on within our lives, and not trusting ourselves on a really deep level. Just taking a breath into all of that. So our nervous system is here to tell us so much. The feeling of like wealth and abundance and enoughness, that feeling of being enough, to start distilling and evaporating the emotion of shame, all comes from this deep space of what's going on, physiologically and then energetically within your body right now. And the really cool thing about this, that nothing is set in stone and it's all transitory. Our bodies are so adaptable. We have the power now within us to actually heal those. If we're stuck in sympathetic nervous system state, we can bring ourselves out of that with cool things like breath work. If we're in a state of shutdown, we can stimulate our nervous system to start creating energy to help us get us out of that even deeper state. We can start to really nurture that ventral vagal state. We're feeling at harmony, connection, love, joy. We can start to change our physiology. We can start to feed and tend to our vagus nerve. We can activate in a really profound way our rest and digest. We can actually influence our brain physiology. We can actually start to influence our brain. We can create new neurological pathways. We can start to change the brain physiology by the amygdala, which is our stress and fear response. We can actually reduce the size of certain brain parts which help us with this decrease of reactivity and feelings within us. It's such a magical moment. And we can feel so far away from this connectedness that we're all desiring. We all feel like we want to move towards, but we feel so disconnected from it. And I just want you to know that everything and anything is possible for you right now. You have so much capability and capacity within you right now to move through anything. To move and shift through anything. From freeze to flow, from disconnected to connected, from fear to love. Sending you so much love, my friends. This is a bit of a breakdown of the nervous system, this potentiality, this what we have going on within us right now that we're all seem to be navigating through to a certain degree. But never forget, you have unlimited, but infinite potential within you right now. Sending you so much love, my friends. Thank you for being here, and I already can't wait to see you in the next video.